Can you guys give me an emoji just to see that I'm not alone here?
You're not alone.
Oh, yes. Oh, great. And we're joined by Allan. Hi, Allan.
How is everyone doing?
I'm doing great. Is everybody also doing great? Give me, oh, great. We're all high fives and thumbs up. That is so awesome. Okay.
Why
Wow.
is everybody gone dark on their screens? Can the students show their faces? Are they allowed?
Of course they are allowed and encouraged. I would love to see their faces.
Let's see everyone. Say hi if you feel like it.
We have Hiccup and Lindsay. And
not a student, but I'm here. Well, okay.
Hey. And Sarah. Oh my gosh. Sarah. Yeah, awesome. You don't have to put your cameras on, but it will be awesome to see you guys.
Yeah, just saying hi.
Okay, so we have Allan joined us. He's an actor, a theater actor. He was on television. I think I should let you introduce yourself, Allan. You'll do a better job.
No, you do it. I like it.
No.
I'm an actor.
I wrote it down here. Theater, television, and film actor. And also you are a producer as well.
I'm a writer. I'm a writer and a producer, television producer. I'm a theater producer, and I'm an actor. And I trained primarily in acting. And when I graduated, I started a theater company in Toronto, and I created and wrote Republic of Doyle, which was the series that we did for 6 seasons in Newfoundland with a writer named Perry Chafe from Petty Harbor. He and I created that together. And then we created a bunch of other series. And yeah, every aspect of the job, I have to say I'm fairly intimate with it. So it's been a long road of experience. And
that's awesome. That's great. I wonder, did you always knew you wanted to work in the business, or like was the moment that you thought? Mm-hmm.
But you know, sure. When I was coming up through elementary school-ish, or maybe junior high, no, just before junior high, I saw I went to a Catholic school back in the day when like the schools were divided between Catholic and Protestant predominantly. And there was a nun directing, you know, some play about Jesus. And I remember watching and thinking, you know, I'd be way better at that than them. And, but I wasn't brave enough, not the actors, but really more the nun, I think I was thinking about it. And, but I remember not being quite brave enough. And then I had this teacher, this really phenomenal theater arts teacher at St. Kevin's named Tony Duffenay. And he really brought the concept of theater into my life. And in many ways, even though I kind of thought that it wasn't really a career I could have pursued for some strange reason, so many people in our school were inspired and ended up becoming professional people. And when I graduated high school and I went to university, I was doing business because that was like a practical thing to do. And I was miserable. And I knew then that I had to try this industry. And I haven't looked back. And I went to a training program myself in Montreal, and I got into a theater school there because acting wasn't my thing. And then as I was training as an actor, I knew I wanted more than just being an actor. And you know, back to what the previous guests were saying earlier, I wish I'd listened to that whole conversation, by the way. It was great. I just got the tail end. You know, when I was in St. John's, I started to volunteer for local theater companies and local directors. And my dad had a pickup truck that I was allowed to use, and that made me invaluable to a local amateur theater company because I could help move gear. And then I was in, and that started my sort of birth into the job, you know. And I at the time they were doing a TV series called Gullages, which was I felt like the first series ever made. It was like a 6-part comedy. I can't remember if Pope produced it or not. I'm sure he was involved in it in one way or another because he's the godfather of all things film and television in the province. And I just wanted so badly to be a part of it. And then they made another series called Dooley Gardens that I auditioned and got a part in. And then once I got into theater school, I never looked back. And it is the best, most rewarding experience of every time I get to do the job, it's always been the most rewarding and fruitful experience. It gets better every time, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's awesome. And I wonder what motivated you to open your own theater production. What was behind that?
Well, I'm very impatient, and I was very impatient. I've developed some patience, but I wanted to do more than just act. So when I was at theater school, I knew I wanted to be not just a part of the experience as an actor. I didn't want to just have the experience as an actor. I wanted to have the experience. I wanted to be involved in the creation. I wanted to have more control over the elements that my career could be a part of. And also, one of the wonderful things about the industry is the community. And the community is not just actors. I mean, actors, I adore being with fellow actors, but part of the juice for me is the community we develop together and the community you enter into. And it's for the most part very kind, very progressively ahead of the curve in terms of what we see as fair in the social fabric of our world. It's enlightened. It's an enlightened community. Everyone is dialed into one level or another of the arts world. They're not just a grip or electric or a hair and makeup artist. They're a musician or they're a theater actor or not just background. So many of our background performers are professional in Newfoundland are professional actors, and this is just a really good way to supplement their income until they get their own part or their own opportunity. There's a play on at the hall right now that's filled with our community on stage that some wonderful actors that are being supplemented in various ways through our film and television community. So I just kind of wanted to be involved in a multifaceted way. So I started a theater company, and then that was very successful. And then I went on and started a television production company, and that led to other great experiences for me.
So comparing, I kind of feel like I know what you're going to say, but comparing, which role did you like most? Was it in front of the camera or behind of the camera, now that you can compare?
Acting is my first and foremost my love, and it's become stronger. And there's been times in my career where it's many different things. Directing or producing or writing a TV series and show running a TV series is a very fulfilling job. I got to do it and act, but I'm currently in a real love affair with the art of becoming the best actor I can possibly be. And that's the other thing about this career. You're constantly reminded that you never know it all. If Pope, I don't know if he's listening or not. We've had this super long journey together as peers, and you never stop striving to be a better person and a better artist and a more progressive pusher for the boundaries of how we can be better. And that's my favorite thing about the art form, whether it's film and TV or theater or whatever. It's not just entertainment. Otherwise, I'd be doing some other job. Really, it's about examining our experience as human beings, our interactions with each other, and how we can progressively help each other move forward in a more enlightened way. And for me, that's what great art has to do. But to quote James, I think it was James who said earlier, it's like we have to start for what's here and what our experience is. And it's not a therapy session. It still has to. There are elements that need to be adhered to in terms of the structure of how the story is told. But within that, you can truly change minds, and I find that to be one of the most rewarding experiences about doing the job.
That's wonderful. And I also think, because I want to ask you, because this is such a creative work, a lot of our guests said they dealt with failure. So how would you?
I
What
failed
was your
this
way?
morning.
Yeah.
I fail this morning. I fail every day. We fail. We fail.
How do you
We
deal with
have,
that?
what's that?
How do you deal with that? How do you like pick yourself back up and try again?
Well,
How do you?
falling is the game.
Mm,
It's how you fall. I play a lot of ice hockey and I fall a lot. And I've become a very good faller. And it's truly the risk is the core element of what this art form, and if you really want to break it down, the truth to how we explore our lives as people is based in exploring opening yourself to new experiences and new things and new elements and always learning. And the only way one can do that is by risking the comfort of what they already know. And failing is not a fail. It's not failure. It's simply just a part of the journey. And it happens to me. It never goes away. And I hope it never does, because where am I then? I'm in an echo chamber looking at myself. How am I growing? And I strongly encourage it. We all fail. We all fall. We'll put it in a better way. It's not failure. It's just we all fall. But it's just about recognizing that in order to take that leap, you might fall. But in the great reality of this circumstance is you don't really get hurt. And if you understand that this is a part of the process, fail, fall. Only then will you know what you need to do and what the next steps for you to learn are. And art form. I mean, one of the speakers mentioned, a list of the greatest filmmakers of our time. Some of them, they've all constantly made flops. They're not always going to be correct. I audition for things that I don't get constantly. It's just part of it, part of the circle of the game.
Of auditions, what do you advise some of our students who want to be actors, who want to get in there as actors?
Starting now, start at the beginning. Start find as much knowledge as you possibly can. Soak up as much knowledge as you possibly can. That's literally what I did. I felt when I was graduating high school that I should play Romeo, but I wasn't ready. So I ended up playing a character in the play. I can't even remember the character's name. I actually have. I was actually reading the Riverside Shakespeare as I was waiting to talk to you.
Oh.
I could look it up, but get yourself in on the ground level. Surround yourself with as many people who are as passionate about it as you are, various levels, and just go. And eventually the paths will become clear. Also, the path of not doing it may also be one of those things. And that's, you want to be able to do this thing because you want to do it. You want to breathe it. You want to live it. You want to eat and drink it. It's truly is a passion career that can also be a really reasonable choice as well.
What are your thoughts about communicating through film, of course, stories? Because they have to do a story 5 minutes or less, So how can they, first of all, where do you even bring up a story, right? Like the idea behind it. Where do you get ideas, for example?
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about stories for this kind of it's an exceptional idea. And I wish I had the opportunity to have access to the technology that we all carry around with us. This is all you need to do this project is your phone. You can do it whatever way you want. When I was coming up, we didn't have we had to have someone rich who had a camcorder, and we needed to be able to figure out a way to borrow it without breaking it. And it was all in video, and it was like I had no concept of how I could transfer the video to something that would be editable, and I didn't have anyone to help me in that regard. We have access to all of this. So the technical thing aside, the creative thing, I would encourage us to not limit ourselves. It doesn't need to be linear. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be great. You just need to be able to find something that interests you and devise a way to tell that story for yourself. And that can be challenging, but within those challenges, I have found the confines of the structures of art can sometimes create a great opportunity, and it's more of an opportunity in my mind than it would be a pitfall. So the story can be something as simple as someone wanting to steal their siblings' lunch money, whatever, sweater. I mean, it can be as simple as you want it to be, and it can be as truthful to you as possible. I strongly suggest getting a little, if you want to get super advanced about it, Google Aristotle's rules on drama. And this is we're talking about the Greeks, and Aristotle's rules on drama have not changed. And once you play with that, is a fun thing to do. There's only like 4 of them, I think. It's been years since I've read them. And within them, conflict, finding conflict can be as high stakes as something like a cold case murder for TV, or it can be, like I said, trying to get your sibling to let you wear their clothes. It's all about the stakes you create in it for the protagonist. And also, too, these films shouldn't be limited to these kinds of ideas. There doesn't need to be a traditional protagonist or an antagonist. Protagonist would be the story in which the person in which the story is being told, and the antagonist would be the person who's trying to stop the protagonist from executing their ambition. That's a good place to start. And then these characters can be pigs, they can be gorillas, they can be aliens, they can be whatever you want them to be. Don't limit yourself in terms of creativity. There is no wrong answer for something like this. And you might not, whatever, who cares if you win or lose? I mean, I like to win sometimes, but it's also like the journey is the destination. Not to be full of cliches, but these cliches come from truth.
I have some questions for you.
Please. This is juice, by the way. I'm not drinking. I'm not. It's not any kind of alcoholic beverage.
It's okay. Well, Alex asks, do you look any place in particular for inspiration?
Yeah, I do. Everywhere around me. We're vampires in the best way. And, there's every time I'm confronted with some level of tragedy, the truth is there is a huge part of our brains that goes, got to remember this feeling for when I have to pretend to do this as an actor, or I have to remember this moment and the setup because it would be really good for an episode of what I'm writing. It's everywhere. I'm in the city right now. I'm in Toronto right now, although I live in St. John's, but I've been here for like a month shooting a film. And you are constantly listening to the world around you. I read a lot of news, like real news, not, I don't watch cable news, but I read a lot of print news. And there's a lot of inspiration in the world around you in terms of not Facebook news, you know what I mean? Like the Wall Street Journal or the Globe and Mail or the New York Times or something, National Post. And you find tons of perspective and world events. I read a lot of the world news through those 4 sources in particular because I know they're trustworthy. And I read a lot of world events, and from world events and seeing what the rest of the world is actually going through, you can be inspired. And books, I'm constantly reading. I'm old, right? I've been doing this a long time. I wasn't always like this. I didn't always sit in my kitchen and read Shakespeare while I'm waiting to do something. I've developed habits that I do for the sake of my art, which is my whole life, and I take great joy in that. But baby steps for you, gang, can mean just pay attention to the world around you, your own house, your own bedroom, your own school experience. And you probably finished school now for the year, right? You're about to finish like any day now. School done yet? No.
I
Well,
think it's a no, shaking the head.
the world
We
around you is.
have like a week and a half till Christmas break.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Well, it's a great time for you to be thinking about doing this film too, right? You don't, Alex, you don't want to go on break? Is that what you're trying to tell me with this? Oh, you want break sooner? Okay, I got you.
See if I have
Yeah.
another question here for you.
Go ahead.
Lindsay asked, what is your favorite part about your job?
Very much what I've, oh my God, Paul's camera angle was terrifying. The everyday of it, living it and getting to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like bullshit. It's not, sorry, that's not. It's getting to do it is the job, is the dream. And being able to do it with good people is such a big deal. And our crew in Newfoundland, I mean, Newfoundland's over-indexed with very kind people too, but in our as our world grows and the industry breeds a certain level of respect and kindness for the most part, and that's one of my, it's the community of it. It's really it's really satisfying.
Great. And Cameron also asks, what do you find the hardest part of being in this work, and how do you overcome that?
Well, you know, the not getting everything you want element of it is difficult. I'm not over it. I talk about these risks and falling, you know, it doesn't necessarily always make it easier, especially when you really want something. So finding your way through that, I like surround myself with good people. I focus on the things I can do. I do a lot of writing for no one. I do a lot of reading. I meditate. I try to find the most positive parts of the world and try to live within that while exploring all the not so positive things. So I'm aware. Keeping yourself actively engaged and passionate about the job. I watch as much as I possibly can. I go see as much as I can if I'm not working. I immersing myself deeper into it is always, and the community we have when we're in it is quite supportive at various levels.
In what you just mentioned, do you think that's a good idea way to find your creative voice? Well,
What's
how would
that?
you say? Like the reading a lot, experimenting. What do you think is a good way to find your creative voice when you just started out, when you're just starting?
It's an awesome question. And yes, that is one way. And the other way is to get a piece of paper and a pen and to write down things you think. And don't take for granted that they'll be there when you dream them. I dream entire plots in my sleep. And I wake up and I write them down on my iPhone or whatever. But I still like the old adage of writing things down on whatever paper is near me. Poetry, writing yourself poetry, you know, it's a great place to start. It's a great place to touch the ground. Poetry can turn into nothing or it can turn into something, and that's what that's what's available to us as artists. It can be like I'm writing TV shows right now that people may never read, watch, make, whatever, but I'm doing it for me. I need to do it. And I feel better about myself when I do it. And of course, what comes from that is something always comes from that. Whether it's that exact thing or it spawns another thing or it makes me better at something else.
I wonder, how do you handle like taking on one hand critique, but also kind of listen to your own intuition? Like what happens if somebody says, don't do that, but then inside your heart, you're like, no, but this has to be here. What are your thoughts? How do you handle that?
That's a tough one. that level of nuance takes
Like being flexible. How flexible do you have to be?
yeah, that's a tough one. You have to be. That's a tough one because
Yeah.
many elements of the job you have to be insanely flexible, but you have to not lose yourself, and that takes time and experience, and you'll get it wrong. on both sides. If you try to please too much, I mean, you have to be respectful. If someone's your superior and they're telling you to do something, you have to do that. There's no way around it. I mean, it's a collaborative art form. Finding that and keeping your voice. No one any good is going to want you to lose your voice while you're trying to please them. So it's a tricky balance, and that takes time, and just that takes having to experience it, put yourself through it as much as you can. And there's easy ways to do that, because I will say this: I'm a very collaborative note taker, and I've gotten very good at not losing myself in feedback from others, because I'm an actor and I trained as an actor, and I've worked with a litany of very bad directors. And when you're doing, and because that's a part of the process, you don't get to pick the talent you often get to work with. And so if you're doing a play and someone is trying to direct you in a way, you have to convince them that you're doing what they're doing, and you still have to stay true to yourself, because at the end of the day, they're gone and you're on stage. So it's a tricky thing, but the important thing is who's contributing to your insight. You don't want anyone off the street you don't want to be looking for praise. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're just looking for someone to tell you how great you are, don't do that. If you're looking for serious feedback, make sure you're asking the right person for that feedback, not the person who's delivering your Amazon packages. You don't want to take it. Not that I'm not saying that the Amazon person isn't a fantastic director, but you know what I mean. You want to be careful about. Yeah. You don't want your hopes and dreams. People outside it can often get scared for you and get scared you're going to look embarrassed and all this stuff, and get scared that you're not going to succeed. And if that is a voice you don't need. You need to focus on what you believe in. And if you fail, you fail. It's a part of the ride. Yeah, exactly. It's a huge part of it. No one who's any good has ever not fallen on their face. And if they have, I feel terrible for them. How do they know what it's like to always be right? I mean, that would be, because deep down they're not. They've just figured out a way to cheat it, and that's not for me.
Okay, it's already 9. Wow. Okay, yeah. Allan, thank you so much for being here. Any last comment for our students? Any encouragement? Final encouragements?
Enjoy yourself. That's it. There's no fail. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Break the rules. If they say it's 5 minutes, make it 6 minutes. Don't, unless you need to, but don't. Who cares? Be great, and being great means putting yourself into it. Don't worry about what people think of it. Find a way for you to be able to create something that you see and you're proud of. Take the risk, take the jump. Don't, I thrive on that kind of behavior, and it's the essence of our job. It really, really is. Don't make it 20 minutes long. No one's going to watch it. We're not going to have time to watch it. But don't be afraid to break outside the line, color outside the lines. No one's policing you. That's the business. There's no one in charge. It's just you. At the end of the day, it's you and how you feel you've delivered yourself to the work.
Thank you so much, Allan.
Yeah, I think you'll all be fantastic.
I'm sure they will be. Thank you so much for joining us, and that was awesome. I took a lot of
You
stuff
were
from
awesome.
it too.
What a great interviewer. Yeah, thank you very much. So
much.
We should maybe we'll do something like this again after.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, and thank you all of you for joining. And I'm sure you'll be great. And yeah, looking forward to it. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Go make art.
Go make art.
Thank you. Bye.